Hello again, community. I am back. Um, so we are currently streaming on both Twitter and Discord, and thanks so much for joining us live today for a very special AMA with Wei. We like to call back to our roots and where we grow from here. I already introduced myself a while ago. My name is Franco. I'm the community manager of Coins.ph, and joining me right now is, of course, our very own Coin CEO, Wei Zhou. So yeah, Wei, how's it going?
Hey Franco, doing quite well. Really excited to be here. For the
Awesome.
first time doing an AMA to the coins community.
Yes, actually, we like to call ourselves the Coinmunity. So it's a name we've decided on ourselves. We actually voted on it. Yeah, it takes a little bit get of getting used to, but I think you should get the hang of it by the end of the stream.
There we go. Hey
All
there,
right,
community.
Coinmunity. Yep.
There you go. And for the to the community, this is your community.
Yes,
This is,
exactly.
I'm hoping to bring a lot of joy and excitement to this AMA. For I think for a lot of you guys who don't know me, uh, I recently joined Coins about 6 months ago. After an investor group that I'm working with, we purchased Coins from the previous shareholder of Gojek. I think Coins has had a long and very exciting history here in the Philippines, serving basically some of the original Bitcoin community,
Hmm.
and sort of with my previous background being a CFO of Binance, and then basically helping them to build up and scale up that business on a global basis. I'm hoping to bring a lot of that know-how with especially sort of knowledge and I think relationships and contacts from sort of the global community. I hope to bring a lot of those a lot of those know-how and a lot of that to the coins to the community here, and hopefully we can continue to build coins with sort of a more crypto native angle, and then and just sort of really capture sort of every not just everyone's interest in crypto, but I think also capture sort of everyone's interest in sort of like what you can do with crypto, like some of the utility around it in terms of playing games or hanging out in the metaverse or trading NFTs. I think all of that is something we have what is what we have installed for the community.
Awesome. Thanks, Wei. Thanks for getting everyone up to speed, and that's definitely an interesting journey you've had so far. But based on the Twitter takeover we had the other day, I think a lot of our community is definitely excited to learn even more about you.
Mhm.
Yep. Anyways, just some like quick housekeeping stuff. Before we officially get started, just want to remind everyone, we're going to be opening up the AMA for live questions towards the very end. So feel free to again send them in via our Discord and Twitter. So for Discord, you can actually chat on the Way AMA chat channel, and just feel free to send in your questions there. And then we'll make sure if they're good, we'll pick them out, and you might be featured in the AMA. So as for Twitter, make sure to use the hashtag WayAMA so we can see your questions. And if you're the one of the ones picked, you will be able to win 1,000 pesos in ETH. I think that's one of your favorite cryptos, right, Way? If I'm not mistaken, ETH.
I'm an ETH bull right now.
You're an ETH bull right now. Okay,
I'm
same
an
here.
ETH bull right now. If you see my wallet, it's predominantly
Yes, yes. The merge is coming. The merge is coming.
yeah.
So I'm
I'm
pretty bullish on ETH as well. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's like we're gonna I think there's just like so many positive drivers behind the merge.
Yep.
Like not knock on wood that it will go through, but everything from what we hear from Metallic and from developers community of Ethereum seems like it's coming through. So you know what, do your best, everyone. Send in your questions. Get your
Yep.
hands on that 1,000 pesos worth of ETH.
There you go. That 1,000 might be yeah. Is Let's get started. Okay, you ready, Way?
I'm ready. Let's
All
do it,
right.
sir.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. I just want to do a quick intro to you once more, and basically, what initially got you interested in crypto in the first place?
Yeah, I think what really got me into crypto was actually trading on my previous employer,
Okay.
trading on Binance. So
Yep.
it was back in 2000, like I think late 2017, early 2018, and a company that I had angel invested in, through an equity, actually did an ICO, and then I was actually airdropped some tokens as a result of that,
Yep.
and that's when I first sort of really owned crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the things. Like, wait a minute, like I can actually be an equity shareholder of something, and then when they do something, basically I was airdrop, basically free goodies. And then because of that, because I had previously sort of to that, I had been, more active. Not like my career has been built sort of in the equity world. Whereas I was, CFO for several businesses. I
Mm-hmm.
had been a public company CFO of a company that I took public on Nasdaq. So I know a lot about equity. I know a lot about VC fundraising, through equity, Series A, Series B, eventual sort of, even raising in capital on Nasdaq and then trading as a public company. So I knew a lot about that, but didn't really know about sort of fundraising on blockchain,
Yep.
right? So with that opportunity, I actually like went down the rabbit hole and actually learned quite a bit about sort of the smart contract method. And that was like when I was first introduced to Ethereum, actually, with the smart contract that you can actually, fundraise on blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was actually pretty amazed, by looking at it that, how, and someone who's a token holder, right, can actually be both an investor and a user of a new network or a project, right? As had been the case for a lot of the original Ethereum holders, and also I think for one of the networks that I had been a equity investor in, but then I had some tokens that I could potentially use in that network as well. So I think I had really been amazed by sort of that thing. So I had thought about, hey, I'm like an early Facebook user, I'm an early Uber user, I'm an early Google user, right? I probably contribute a lot, maybe not to Google, right, but definitely I think to the ride sharing guys or to the social networking guys. But the problem is that what I only benefited as a user, right?
Yep.
Whereas people who benefited as an investor, like the investor took bulk of the the benefits that came out of the Facebook's rise. So I thought, well, if we can like allocate tokens to some of the early users where they can actually enjoy the economic benefits from the growth of that network, this could be really an amazing tool. So I think that's when I really started going down the going all in on crypto.
Yep. I think you mentioned the crypto rabbit hole, and that's kind of similar story for me as well. So
Mhm.
I think this whole time was back in around 2017, 2018. So I
Mhm.
remember those days, and I think Ethereum was still relatively new, but definitely a lot of promise as early as then. Yep. Okay. Sorry. You touched a bit on this earlier in your intro, but like, how did you go from Binance to eventually Coin CEO?
Yeah, for Binance,
Yep.
so I had actually known the founders
Okay.
of Binance, CZ and He, prior to their founding Binance, and when they were still working at I think OKCoin, and we're all sort of like in Beijing, so I had known them then. So when I saw the rapid success that Binance had in sort of late 2017, early 2018, I basically just reached out to them for a job there. And luckily, I was able to land sort of the CFO role. And sort of like and how I came across coins is that one of the sort of the first I would say tasks that I was getting on is about building up the fiat networks for Binance. And when we're looking at sort of competitors in the different fiat space, I saw first coins popping up on our radar as a market competitor, in one of the market competitor charts, and as something that had on a global crypto usage basis 5% of the global market share from like a user perspective. And this was like 2018, 2000, early late 2018, early 2019. And I was really intrigued how like a small crypto app in the Philippines has such a large user base. So it's just sort of like and obviously things started developing last year after I left Binance, that it became an opportunity for me to get much more involved in coins, not just as a spectator, but as a shareholder, as an investor, and as its current CEO.
Got it. So, kind of related to coins, what exactly attracted you to the Philippines in particular, specifically in regards to crypto?
Yeah, I mean, I think like one of the things when I look at sort of like countries, just because with my background as being an investor, is actually demographics. I think it's really important to look at sort of like how young the population is. Like, is the population growing? I think the Philippines has such a young and dynamic, demographic with over half of the population under age of 30. And in my mind, is probably one of the most tech savvy countries in Southeast Asia, where it has been basically, like an early adopter of pretty much, a lot of new technology, even going back to the days of like, like MySpace,
Yeah.
and now with Facebook and TikTok. And we've seen that, very much sort of like happen in front of us in 2021 with NFT and Web3 gaming. So I think like that's it's like the young population in the Philippines, I think, is very tech savvy, and they're willing to try new things, and they're willing to sort of like willing to basically to put a lot of the time and efforts into sort of new tech and new products. And I think that's what makes Philippines really exciting, from sort of like from not just in terms of overall overall sort of investing, but actually with regards specifically, I think, to crypto.
Got it. So yeah, totally agree. And I think crypto. I mean, the Philippines has really been ahead of the curve when it comes to crypto. So I guess that kind of brings me to my next question. What was the opportunity you saw in bringing coins basically back to its original crypto native roots?
Yeah. So I think under like just like from what we talked about before, I think like the interest in digital assets as a whole is very strong in the
Yep.
Philippines, right? And I think it's really important to sort of pivot coins, because I think over the last few years, coins have been more focused on sort of the fiat payment side, and hasn't really invested, I think, in the digital assets space.
Hmm.
And as a result, kind of like missed out on the growth that has been taking place over the last few years, over the last 18 months to be specific. And I think it's time is not it's not too late. I think the growth, and then sort of the almost like 2021 has been almost like a proof of concept in terms of like for NFTs and Web3 gaming, and for crypto as an investable assets. So I think all of that is still remain true today. So I think it's really interesting that we can pivot our business into much more crypto native, into much more digital asset native, and yeah, and I think it's going to be really cool.
Awesome. Yep. I am very excited.
Mhm.
Next question, last question for this intro section, a little more casual. So this is a pre-selected question actually from our Twitter giveaway. So congratulations to Eric Reliora. You're one of our ETH giveaway winners. In any case, Eric would like to know, outside of coins slash crypto, how do you like to spend your free time?
I outside of I'm a workaholic. Like, work is
Okay,
actually fun for me.
got
So
it.
I don't have that much free time, but the times that I do have, I have three passions. Like, one is I really like both playing and watching sports.
Mhm.
With basketball being sort of like my favorite sport. So I actually, and within NBA season, I actually play fantasy basketball because I'm a little bit too old to play real basketball. But
Yep.
but uh, but I did get a game in with the company a couple of weeks ago. So I do
Nice.
want to both play basketball, and I enjoy watching it. So that's like one passion.
Mhm.
The other one is actually my family. I got three little kids. I got a 6 year old and two 3 year olds. So I actually spend a lot of now the 6 year old is actually back in school and in first grade. So I actually spend a lot of time with her on like just like homework, and then playing with them. And the third one is I used to read books, but now I'm a little bit lazy, so I actually listen to a lot of books. So I
Got it.
actually listen to books, and I listen to a lot of podcasts. Just sort of
Mhm.
like, 'cause for me, that's actually quite relaxing. Just to hear people talk, and then about things that some are more for fun, like, but some are for just sort of like
Mhm.
just like for me, like, because I'm a pretty intellectually curious person, so for me, just to learn about stuff. And then there's no shortage of like with a crypto themed podcast out there, sort of like just to keep up to date about what's going on in the crypto world.
Awesome, awesome. I definitely have to join you guys one of these
Mm.
days for a basketball game. Not the
Yeah,
best, but I'll give it my best shot.
it's good to get a run in there.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Okay. So thanks for that. Now that we know a lot about your basically your coin's origin story, I want to delve more into your own personal views on crypto and NFTs in general. So
Mhm.
I guess to kick things off, how and when did you first get into NFTs?
Uh, NFTs. I first learned about the NFTs, I think, with Crypto Kitties
Mm,
in 2017
same
and
here.
18. Yeah,
Yep.
but I think the network is like super busy or something, because I was like, whoa, if I can buy one or two, I can maybe like hatch a new one. That's really cool. But I think the process was way too complicated back then, and then I just didn't trust, like, like, I didn't trust the process enough, so I kind of stopped. And then in 2021, I saw the launch of NBA Top Shots. I think late 2020, and then that was really excited. But then again, I couldn't buy any because like they had these like too many limited edition,
Mm,
sort of like you have to like catch it at the right time. And then lately, like the first NFTs I bought were actually racehorses on this game called Z.Run. And I thought that was really revolutionary in that, wait a minute, you can actually own a digital asset that imitates kind of like, because then I like sort of learned quite a bit about like horse breeding, which
mm,
is kind of like an age old tradition of like actually breeding horses and then training them to basically run in races. And it's actually like a pretty cool to replicate that sort of in back now we call it the metaverse, but back then like didn't know what a metaverse was. Basically replicate that in the digital realm. And then with NFTs, you can actually own and breed your horses. And that kind of paralleled with sort of like what I was doing at Binance, was basically running sort of its investment arm, because Binance had been an early investor in Axie, but I didn't really play it as much back then. But I think sort of a combination of those things really got me to sort of looking at NFTs.
awesome. Yeah, I think I actually bought a crypto kitty around then, but I like you, I got in pretty heavy around 2021 as well. So yeah. Okay, so real quickly, I think we may have shown this before on our Twitter, but I'm gonna go ahead and play a short little clip of your NFT.
Mhm.
All right. So rolling the clip. All right, so that is actually Wei's NFT, everyone. So that brings me to my next question, Wei. Could you tell us more about your Bored Ape and what is it like being a BAYC holder? Yeah.
um, so I actually like before it's actually a significant investment for me because
Yep.
I was looking at, I think, a couple of things. I think I was looking at punks, I was looking at ape, and I think there's like one or two other sort of like sort of more popular theme NFTs around that time. And I actually really liked the Board Ape first, especially around that time. Because I think it was around that time where they had already airdropped Serum
Mm,
to ape holders of a certain date, and they had dropped like I think like a Board Ape dog, like a kennel, to ape holders. And then I really liked how the community was really active, and then how sort of the I guess the owners
mhm,
of the community, or the operators of the community, was actually able to deliver benefits to ape holders. And then post sort of my ownership, I was airdropped the ape token. I was airdropped the other side land. So I just thought like that's actually really cool. And then even now I think when I met like an ape in the real in the real world, we kind of just sort of like catch up on these experiences.
yep.
So I think like for me, like just like I did a little bit of research. I was like, hey, these guys, have given a track record of like delivering benefits to the users, and they're running a lot of sort of like events in the real world. This was like 2021. I wasn't able to participate in any, but at least when I went to Bali in April, there's like a cafe where like there's like a Bored Ape theme. So I just feel like it's kind of like almost like a very global community of
Mhm.
owners that have benefited right financially from owning an ape, and then also from becoming kind of like cultural figures in terms of from owning an ape. I think all of that is actually really cool.
Awesome. So yeah, given all of your different NFT holdings from Bored Ape to Azuki's,
Uh-huh.
what is the long-term potential you see for NFTs?
Yeah, I mean, I think NFT is just the beginning, and I actually it's just the beginning of what I call the digital ownership economy for the internet. And I think what I mean here is that NFT will allow just for users like me and you to actually own and potentially operate and earn from the internet. I think before we didn't really own the internet, like Facebook, Google, and then Tencent, Alibaba, they own the internet, right? And then they operated it and they earned from it. Like we were just like we're just helping them to earn money from the internet, right? Like giving them all of our relationships, giving them all of our content, and then giving them all of our time, right? And then sometimes by giving them all of our money too, right?
Yeah,
So we didn't
exactly.
own the internet, right?
Yeah.
Like the internet owned like the conglomerates behind it, the internet own us. right? They own all of our data, they own all of our relationships, and they can kick us off anytime they want, right? But I think NFTs, through this like block the technology that's enabled by like NFTs, we can actually own a piece of it, right? And that's what I meant by sort of like the digital ownership economy, and that's really really revolutionary, right? So I think with NFT, and I think it's just the beginning in that. Before, right, you go to a website that's owned by somebody who owned the domain name, right? But now if you enter like a metaverse, right, if you go in a sandbox per se, right, you can actually own a piece of land there, right? That piece of land that somebody else, and then from that land you can obviously build things on it and lease it out to people, right? And we've seen that with gaming assets as well. So I think NFTs will allow just normal people to actually own, operate, and earn, I think, from digital assets, and then that or earn from the internet. I think that's what's really key, and that's why I see it's gonna be like this. That's why I see NFTs having massive potentials.
Awesome. So, you personally, like, are there any particular like metaverse platforms you're interested in, like Decentraland, Sandbox?
Um, I own a little. I own a couple of pieces of land in Sandbox.
Got it.
Haven't really figured out how to own things in Decentraland yet. I think it's yeah, because I think there's a lot of like because I think I see a lot of what's the word? See a lot of legacy issues from some of
Mhm.
these early projects that you kind of run into from just because just because the it's I would say um, um, I think the more powerful networks are going to come later because I
Gotcha.
think the earlier ones have a lot of things, um, both from a tech perspective, from sort of like maybe like from a token design perspective, from lack of democratization of ownership perspective. I think there's a lot of these things that I think the future ones may solve for. But
Mhm.
I do believe like a decentralized or semi-decentralized, like an ownership economy, for the metaverse or for different type of metaverses is coming.
Yep.
So yeah. So I think
Phil.
I'm very positive on that. Yeah, and I think we're so early in the game,
Yep.
and that's why I want to do a plugin for coins because I think like with coins, what we're going to be allowed for is not just allow for you to sort of go into it. We allow you for to because like we allow you to basically make your NFT purchase or make your token purchase, which basically are the gating items for you to enter into this new world.
Mhm.
Once you're into this new world, you can basically spend and earn from it, right? But what we allow you to do is that once you basically have earnings from this new world, we can allow you to sort of take it out and spend it in the real world as well. So I think that's sort of like that's what I want to build with coins.
Awesome.
So
Yeah, the potential seems pretty
mhm,
limitless, and I think we're still, like you said, very early days.
mhm.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, let's move on from the NFT, and then I think I want to specifically talk about the current bear market. So, I think a lot of people in coins actually joined us very recently, maybe around 2020 to 2021. So this actually may be their first ever bear market. Personally, this is actually my second. But I guess what I want to know is, what is your past experience with bear markets?
Yeah, I'm a little bit older, so
Just a little.
yeah,
Just a little.
Asian genes look young, right?
Exactly.
So I'm class of 2001. So first year, like I was literally like on the job for no more than 2 weeks, and then 9/11 happened.
Oh
and
my.
uh
Yeah.
and that was a significant event because like I experienced the dot-com crash kind of like when I was like my senior year, and then I experienced 9/11 and sort of like and then the 2001 sort of like bear market for the first 2 years of my career basically. And the world worked through it, and then and then subsequently, I was at Jalping. I was at my first startup that I was working at, and then we had literally got pretty lucky and just raised our a significant round before the 2008 financial crisis.
Mhm.
And I think that's sort of more from the traditional world. And then I had also lived through sort of SARS in Hong Kong in 2003 as well. Like
Mhm.
my one takeaway from the SARS experience, and I and then like see like a long term parallel of it with COVID, is that I had a colleague on the who was not sit next to me, but basically on the desk, on the trading desk that I was at when I was at Goldman. So in the depth of SARS, he bought a ton of Cathay Pacific. He basically bought a ton of airline stock,
Wow. Yeah.
and and, uh, and a bunch of apartments in Hong Kong. So he was able to like semi-retire after that.
Wow.
So I feel like
Good move.
like maybe different experiences for us here, right?
Yep.
But with what I'm seeing in Singapore right now, with like sort of like the post-COVID travel boom that's coming, I see a lot of sort of similarities from that experience. And then I was actually basically spent about 2 years, my first 2 years at Binance in terms of 2018 all the way to sort of like DeFi summer in 2020 were basically just crypto bear markets. So
Mm.
so 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 I think that was like probably the really long crypto winter, right, from 2018 to 2019. So I worked through all of it. I probably benefited from it because a lot of the platforms that I worked at, we got stronger, we got bigger from the crypto market. Did people you feel poor just because you feel poor? So I think that's just something that you literally just sort of have to like get over, right?
Yep.
From a mental perspective, like just be like, what is yours is your, what's meant to be is meant to be. If you
Exactly.
didn't have it, then it's not meant to be. Just basically get over it, right? Don't get too bogged down in terms of I used to have this number, now I don't. That's like whatever. But the thing is that like figure out how you can sort of build what I call sustainable wealth,
Mm.
right? Which is basically having something that you believe in, right? Or work on things or build on products that you believe in. So I think that would be my recommendation, and that's why how I've sort of came out of it. So yeah.
Okay, so given this isn't your first rodeo, like how would you compare this bear market to past cycles?
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. It's a really weird one because this one's not a recession. Like we are not in a recession. Like the fundamental economy coming out of COVID is actually extremely strong. Like demand is strong,
Mm.
right? I actually think this is what I call like a Fed induced bear market to reduce inflation. Maybe because of the money printing over the last 10 years by the Fed, that we were in an asset bubble. So they want to sort of like, but the thing is that they've also not only printed a lot of money but given out a lot of stimulus checks because of COVID. So this is actually more of a monetary driven bear market.
Mm.
So it feels very unnatural, right? It's not sort of like a natural part of the cycle. So I feel like the fundamental demand in the economy is actually quite strong. That's why I feel like and then sort of like the fundamentals of crypto is actually quite strong. So I actually think like crypto is probably going to be the first sort of asset class to
Mm.
come out of this bear market. That's what I think, and I think be it may not be as extended as like the 2008 one and the 2000 and sort of the crypto winter of like 18 and 19.
Got it.
So yeah.
So what would be like your one piece of advice for those going through their first ever crypto slash NFT bear market?
uh I would like NFTs, like NFTs, and for like I think this applies to NFTs and to sort of like cryptocurrency and to tokens in general, is like don't try to catch bottom.
Mm.
Like don't try to catch a falling knife. I think that's probably the scariest thing. Always like the hardest thing is basically you think you're at bottom but you don't have any cash to basically to buy, right? So for
Mm.
me it's sort of like and then what you're seeing this time around is that a lot of the companies and projects that got in trouble, especially within the lending space, they got in trouble because of liquidity. They basically run out of cash, or they run out of basically liquid assets. So what I recommend people to do, if you do want to stay invested into NFTs or tokens that have really strong, some of the blue chip guys. I'm a firm believer in sort of ETH, because there's a very strong investment thesis behind it. So I've been sort of like buying it on the way down, and then
Got it.
and I think ETH infrastructure is really interesting too. And then just basically write it out, like write it out with enough sort of cash in the bank that you can sort of last at least maybe like a year or two.
Got
So
it. Yep.
yep.
So what are your thoughts on, do you think it's still, is it too late to get into crypto? Are we still early? Where are we in the timeline of this technology?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're super early still, right? If you
Yeah.
look at the global crypto user base, like what, 200, 300 million people, so that's like less than 5% of the world's population, right?
Mm.
And then the growth trajectory of crypto, like in this time, matches sort of like the growth trajectory of the internet in like the mid to late 90s. So
Mm.
that's kind of like where we are. right? Like internet didn't really start taking off. I think like and there's like different iterations of it, right? There's like switching from. I feel like we're at like the like from the internet perspective, we're like at the dial-up phase. You have to dial in to access the internet. Like we're not even at the Ethernet at the
Yep.
broadband phase of the internet just yet. It's just because like the connectivity, we're just figuring out how to connect into it and how to communicate on it.
So
So I think
so
that's yeah.
mhm. Sorry. Would you say like crypto has already hit the mainstream, or are we
Mm,
still not yet?
no,
Not yet.
no,
Okay.
not yet. No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Like a lot. I mean, pretty much like like most like out of the last boom, I think most people start like a lot of the traditional institutional investors. Like I'm talking about two groups of people, right? One is whether you use crypto in your daily life, and the
Mhm.
second one is whether investors invest in crypto. I think maybe on the investing side, we hit some milestones with more people sort of looking at Bitcoin. Some of the bigger traditional global investors looking at Bitcoin, but from a use case perspective, I think a lot of people touched the use of crypto with NFTs, with especially I think with Axie, they
Mhm.
touched it a little bit, but I don't think that's really mainstream. I do not think that's mainstream adoption. I think that's basically just more what I call proof of concept uses, rather than sort of like regular uses.
Got it. So, where would you say crypto and NFTs would be, let's say 5 or even 10 years from now? What would your prediction be there?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, right, like
Hmm.
we are seeing people like building things with people like we are seeing people building products that people use, right? Like for example, I think I think like I think there's two major themes that I see coming. One is DeFi, and one is gaming and metaverse. I
Hmm.
think with DeFi, with the ETH merge, with the sort of the yield that's coming from ETH staking, I think that'll be a core building block for real DeFi because that's like what I call the crypto risk-free rate. That's kind of like you have in with the US dollar treasury for gaming, especially with what we're looking at coins. If we can lower the barrier for entry for crypto gaming, and then make the games more fun, I think that's a real driver. So maybe like 5, 10 years down the road, maybe I think we'll all be hanging out, playing games, and socializing, and spending and saving and trading all in the metaverse.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to seeing our coin community all over the
Yeah.
metaverse in
Mhm.
5 to 10 years. Okay, so I think we have another set of audience questions from our Twitter giveaway. So first things first, Alfredo is asking, what would you consider the most important factors before buying an NFT?
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think the what I look at is actually I don't I think there's two types of NFTs. One is
Got
like
it.
pre-mint and one is post-mint, right? Like I've actually never really pre-minted an NFT. I
Hmm.
think for that one, it's more like just trying to hitch your way to a lottery ticket kind of a feeling. And I think for that, I actually don't have that much to say other than maybe look at the backers behind it.
Yep.
Don't believe in the shill, unless unless it's someone who's actually been quite successful with his collection. Make sure the collection is verified and real, right? If someone is telling you to buy something, tell me, ask him, what do you own? Show me your wallet. Show me your collection first. Then make sure that collection is real. Just to make sure that whoever is selling people something, that this is actually a real person with a real collection. I think that's what I say. And the other one is like if you're looking at coming into an existing collection, definitely I think like some of the blue chip ones do have longer term value, and in the best case they have
Hmm.
real liquidity behind it. I think that's something really important, and that I'm talking about just sort of like profile picture NFTs.
Got it.
I think metaverse land, like sandbox land. I think that's actually really interesting. There's no bad. I think that like that's something that's very easy. I think even for like for people to understand from an ownership perspective. And the third type, I think, are like the gaming assets. Like gaming assets, definitely look at the utility and the earning from it. And I think those are sort of like some of the different metrics. I think those are probably the three more popular type of NFTs, or the NFTs that have like decent amount of liquidity, like
Hmm.
gaming assets, profile picture NFTs, and like metaverse land. I think those are the three what I call like kind of currently the investable type of NFTs.
Awesome. Okay. So just to quickly shift back into the crypto bear market, one of our Twitter users is asking, Luis Primo. He wants to know how does Coin not only survive but continue to further build and develop its products despite everything that's happening currently with the bear market?
Uh, yeah, we're actually hiring and building pretty aggressively right
Mm-hmm.
now. I think coming out of COVID and then coming out of sort of the management changes at Coins, we are rebuilding our sort of like, or we're rebuilding our tech stack. We're actually tearing it down and then rebuilding it from scratch to make it much more scalable. I think to make it, because right now, it takes, like internally, it takes about a couple of weeks, for us to sort of be able to list new tokens. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, we only Coins only supports, the ERC20 chain, just because of the tech stack is pretty old. I think with the new tech stack, we should be able to support more chains. I think we've seen the community requesting BNB chain support, requesting Polygon chain support, Solana chain support. And we will have all that. And once we
Awesome.
have that, we should be able to bring, more exciting tokens and more exciting dApps, from those chains as well.
Awesome. That's getting me more hyped because I'm the more chains the better, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I think you shared a lot about crypto and NFT space, but I think now's time to dive deep into the future roadmap of coins. So I guess to start, one thing I wanted to mention is Coins has been consistently partnering with mainstream fiat partners such as Globe, BBA, Miss Universe Philippines as well earlier this year, to kind of drive crypto awareness. So I would like to ask, like, could you briefly share how Coins is driving crypto adoption and education in the Philippines through these partnerships?
I think it's more about, with these sort of like,
Mm-hmm.
sponsorships and working with these more mainstream brands and media outlets within sort of the Philippines. We want to sort of like, we want to make crypto, I think, like less intimidating, because I think for a lot of people, actually crypto as a whole is pretty intimidating. Like what we
Mm-hmm.
call is like sort of like, educate, don't intimidate, right? That's a logo. That's actually a
That's a
logo
good
that
line.
one of my previous colleagues kind of used before. And then sort of make crypto much more inclusive,
Mm-hmm.
right? For Globe, we're making sure, like, allowing people to redeem their, loyalty points with crypto vouchers that we're giving out. I think that's actually a very easy, simple thing. Once you have, take that voucher that you get from your Globe loyalty, move, come to Coins, open an account,
Yep.
and you can convert that and actually, own a little bit of crypto. I think with PBA, we're doing a lot of giveaways at games. So as long as you're watching some of these games, sign up account. If you're signing up with an account with some of the PBA code, you basically get 25 pesos of crypto right away. So I think, and then with MUPH, I think there should be more opportunities going down the road, with some of the pageant contestants to help us to educate, crypto, ownership. So
Awesome. So yeah, now that we know a little bit about the present, I have to ask, on behalf of our coin community, of course, is there any future partners you have your eyes set on? So if you want to drop some alpha, maybe.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
Okay,
yet.
no
Not
worries.
yet. Yeah,
Not
we
yet.
are. We want to go into gaming. So I
Got it.
think, I think, we want to go into metaverse. I think we will have partners. I think we are looking at partnerships on both of those fronts. And ideally, we want to get into sort of like, we want to help people to facilitate. We want to help crypto owners to be able to, spend their crypto in the real world. So I think,
Mhm.
something along those lines should be coming.
Awesome. Okay, so I think you touched on this a bit, but what is the potential of gaming and play to earn gaming specifically for countries such as the Philippines, and how do you think that played into Axie being such a phenomenon here?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, to be honest, I think, like, I'm actually going to be speaking at AxiCon, which is happening right
Nice.
now in Barcelona. I'm actually flying there, not tomorrow, and then I'm actually going to be sitting on a panel about sort of, Axie in the Philippines from Coins PH's perspective. And At the conference, I'm not gonna hold back. I'm actually gonna
All
speak
right.
on behalf of our community and be like, "Hey guys, we've given you a lot, right? We've given you a business model. Like we've given you not just proof of concept for your game, right? We've basically made your game popular around the world by, giving you users, right? Not just giving your time. We actually bought a lot of NFTs, right?
Mhm.
Like we bought a lot. We own a lot of SLP, right? We even probably own some Ronin as well. Like,
Yep.
help us out here, right? Like, tell
Exactly.
us how are you going to give back to the community, right?
Mhm.
Let us know what you're going to do, like what changes you're going to make to your game mechanics to make sense for people to continue to play the game, right? Tell us what you're gonna do to basically help to manage the SLP supply. Tell us what you're gonna do with a lot of the NFT holders. Like with how's breeding gonna work, and are you gonna give us more gameplay, right? Are you gonna give us like when is land play coming? So I'm gonna be pushing those guys to give answers to some of these questions, and I hope to bring some of those questions, back,
Awesome.
to community. I'll drop some hints, take some, and I think that's something that is real, right? Because a lot of people invested a lot of time and money into the game, right?
Mhm.
And then now sort of the price of tank, we at least we want to know that, hey, is as the owner and as the what is it as the builders behind the Lunation community,
Yep.
like what are you going to do about it, right? And
Awesome.
and so I think that's sort of the first bucket to that answer. I think the second bucket is actually, I think Axie is actually a very good proof of concept,
Mhm.
and I do think that right now, a ton of people uh, are building next what I think is going to be the next popular games for play to earn, and I think that's coming. And I'm a firm believer that and then we see a lot of high quality people leaving high quality studios, that's actually building games. And I think for games that are actually not just only going to be fun,
Mhm.
but will have token dynamics, NFT dynamics that allow you to sort of like both enjoy the game and become owners in the game. I think
Awesome.
that's
Okay. So yeah, given that, could you share a little bit about the Coins Game Center that we're currently working on?
Yeah. So a couple of things. We're working with a couple of a couple of gaming partners.
Mhm.
We want this is a massive. I would say this is actually a pretty massive undertaking in
Mhm.
terms of we want to lower the barrier for people to play Web3 games.
Yep.
And the easiest way to do it is basically if we can basically play the games directly from your Coins wallet,
Mhm.
without sort of like owning an NFT, without sort of moving your fiat to buy ETH, using your ETH to buy a game token, using the game token to buy an NFT, and then logging into sort of a decentralized wallet, and then logging into a DApp and then play, right? Without with that, like that's a massive, like there's like 10 steps before you even start, like before you start playing, and then you probably are out like a couple $100 already,
Mhm.
or like a couple of thousand pesos already before you can actually start doing something. We want to make it easier. We want to lower that barrier. I think there's going to be more. We want to integrate a little bit deeper with a
Mhm.
couple of games such that people can play for free.
Awesome.
That's the goal, and because I think a lot of games are now are coming out with free to play mode. So if we can basically build that within the Coins Game Center, we can work with those. It's more of like a discovery zone, what I call for Web3 games, in that our users can come in and just basically try things out. Yeah, they can scan and play right away. So I think that's the goal. That's the experience I want to make, and we want to try it out with a couple of games first.
Awesome. So, I mean, there's your alpha coin community. There you go. All right. And then I think you talked about lowering the barriers for P2E gaming, but Coins have any plans to lower the barrier specifically for NFTs?
For NFTs, a little bit more complicated in
Yep.
that I think a lot like there are already a lot of what I call alternative like NFT marketplaces and NFT sort of like stores and
Mhm.
NFT play like there's a lot of places for NFT for people to buy and hold and trade and stake NFTs already. So I think we're looking at it deeper in terms of like, okay, what can we do differently,
Mhm.
right? Like, what can we do differently from a lot of these existing NFT places? So I think we're gonna take a different approach. Maybe we're working with some of our existing partners to help them come up with NFTs
Awesome.
and to do it sort of like natively within Coins. I think that's definitely in the pipeline.
All right. Exciting times ahead, especially for NFTs and PTE. All right. Okay, so I think that's pretty much all the questions I wanted to ask. So I'll leave the rest of the questions for the audience. So once again, everyone tuning into the stream, thank you so much for joining us here today. If you're here right now, please go ahead and send in your question on Twitter using the hashtag WeiAMA. And if you're watching live on Discord right now, please send in your questions via the Way AMA chat we have there. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we will be giving away 1,000 pesos worth of ETH. Of course, our Way over here and I are pretty bullish on it. So, 1,000 pesos is a good place to start. And yeah, we're gonna give everyone just a few more minutes to send in their last minute questions. So go, go, go. But for now, we just have two more pre-selected questions we're gonna get through. So that brings me to my first pre-selected question. Luis Lim is asking if you could possibly give an update on the coins token that you mentioned before. Any updates there?
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming. All
It's
right.
coming. Yeah, it's definitely coming. And then we'll definitely airdrop them to our users.
Oh, okay. There you go. That's some serious alpha, guys. Okay, it's coming. Okay, and then another question from Eric J. Education for cryptocurrency is necessary nowadays. What are your plans to attract those people who don't know much about cryptocurrency?
I think it actually comes back to sort of like what I said earlier about with the
Yep.
game center and with sort of like simple onboarding to our NFTs, you can actually own. I think I want to broaden the equation with not just crypto but actually with digital assets. I think it's more about like playing around with digital assets, whether it's in a
Mm,
game, whether it's through like NFTs, and tokens as well. I think there's already sort of like a broad spectrum of digital assets people can try out. I think a lot of it, if you want to dabble, that's cool too. If you don't want to spend any money, we can make that possible for two, right? Just take your global rewards, go convert it into crypto, right? And you can own a little bit of ETH maybe, and then see how that goes with your portfolio. So I think there's many ways, and then we're going to extend that type of partnership. I think with other we're going to extend that type of vouchers. I think with other vendors as well, such that you can actually convert a lot of reward points, loyalty points that you have with different outlets and sort of into crypto. So I think
mm.
that way you can actually get into crypto without actually spending real money into it. I think we just want to broaden the opportunity, lower the barrier of entry.
All right. Okay, so those are actually the last of our pre-selected questions. Everyone who was chosen today, congratulations. That's your 1,000 pesos in ETH. We'll make sure to tag you on our social media. But right now, we are gonna save the last few minutes of this AMA for live questions from our Twitter and Discord. So I'm gonna go ahead and check our Twitter for some live questions. Okay. So, first question is from PackZ underscore O six. Is there any update on Coins Pro?
Yeah, for Coins Pro, we're still in the beta phase. We should have an updated beta that we can roll out around mid to late October,
Hmm.
and we look to a public release in around November.
Nice. Okay, there you go. Next question is actually from our Discord community. Turkdom would like to ask, how can Coins.ph help in the integration of Metaverse in regards to Philippine industries, and what key industries do you see Coins.ph making huge waves in? So almost like a two-part question there.
So I spent I'm currently in Singapore right now, but I spent like July and August, I think, in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
Traveled quite a bit. Spent a lot of time, in and out of Manila, and I see, I think, like a pretty massive opportunity for metaverse in the Philippines. Not necessarily in terms of um, like not even just for the Philippine domestic market, but actually using metaverse as a way for Philippine creators to bring their content into the global sort of economy. I think that's a massive opportunity. Like, and the biggest advantage I think that I see in the Philippines is actually language. It's like native English, culture, like music, entertainment. I think like food, everything's actually quite Western. So I actually think Philippines is actually probably the most Western of all the sort of South of all the Asian countries,
Mm-hmm.
right? And very sort of like American, sort of like Hollywood thematic, driven kind of like a culture here in the Philippines. And so that's why I feel like with metaverse, we can actually become massive creators in the metaverse economy on a global basis. Like essentially, like what I joke around is like, if you want to get, if a country wants to, like, this is just like a random, like, if a country
Yeah.
wants to get rich, you sell to Americans.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Like China got rich selling basically, iPhones and manufacture stuff, right? But I think in the next wave, we're going to be manufacturing, the creative economy. And I think that's something that I think, in the Philippines we can get our heads around.
Hmm.
And I think that's a massive opportunity there for the Philippines. And for coins, I want to figure out how to get. I want to figure out how, how we can how we can activate sort of the creator economy in the Philippines, through the Metaverse project, through Metaverse, and then how we can basically help to distribute that content, on a global basis. So I think that's something that, maybe not right now.
Yep.
Just right now, we really want to focus on building up our core product and servicing our users sort of domestically. But I think once we sort of get that traction off the board and we have a very easy onboarding platform for users into Web3,
Hmm.
let's figure out the next iteration of it, which is basically, how to add content,
Yep.
and distribute content
All
into the
right.
metaverse.
Yep. So we're definitely laying in the foundation right now. Okay. So next question is from Twitter. From 2023 billionaire. Nice name. Um, so does Coins have will Coins continue to list new tokens onto their platform?
Yes, absolutely. So right now we're working on additional blockchain support.
Okay.
I think, as I mentioned, we want to add a few more chains, including, Polygon, including BNB chain, including Solana, and some of the other sort of, later layer two chains, and even some of these, next wave of layer one chains. We want to make our platform scalable so that we can support these chains, and get token support on these chains. But right now, like I mentioned before, we're working on sort of, upgrading, replacing a lot of our legacy tech infrastructure, and that has to be done first.
Yep. As we mentioned earlier, the more blockchains, the better. So they're on the way for sure. Okay. We have another question from Discord. Will Coins ever have some sort of staking feature in their app?
Mm, Staking is a little bit tricky, given
Yep.
that I think we need to get sign off from our regulators first, because there
Hmm.
are certain. But I think once we get the sign off from our regulators, I think we're looking forward to adding sort of some staking opportunities, especially I think with e-staking. So.
Awesome. Awesome.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think that's actually pretty much all the time we have today for those questions. So thank you again, Community, for sending in those great questions. So I would also like to thank Wei for joining us today. We've definitely learned a lot about you and of course coins, and hopefully you can join us again in the future. Yep.
Oh, definitely looking forward to it,
Awesome.
guys. Thanks,
Uh,
Coin Community.
yep. Yes. Thanks, Community. So yeah, sorry. Any final words that you want to leave us with, Wei?
Oh no, I'm really happy. Hopefully we can make this a regular event.
Yes.
And then next time, I'll show up. We'll have more interactive stuff. I think that's gonna make this event really exciting. So
Awesome. Yep. This is just the beginning,
this
Community.
is
This
just
is
the
just the
beginning.
beginning. It's
Absolutely,
just the
yeah,
beginning.
absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah.
all right. Okay. So yeah, to echo Way, really appreciate everyone in the community. We got more AMAs in the future, so stay tuned. But as a final treat, we are actually going to be sharing links on our Way AMA chat for an exclusive POAP drop to celebrate our first ever AMA with Way. So just go ahead to the Discord chat, paste one of those links in the browser, and you might be able to just claim yourself an exclusive Way AMA POAP for yourself. So act quick. There's 99 links available, and I think one of our moderators on Discord will be dropping those in now. And then lastly, before we leave, please don't forget to follow Wei on Twitter. As you can see there, his Twitter account is the Dao of Wei. If you want the best source for alpha on coins, that's the place to go. And of course, if you want to, you can follow your humble community manager here at Frantic on Twitter as well. But
Awesome.
yeah, yep. So yeah, I think with that, we are pretty much done. Have a great Wednesday, everyone.
Have
Take
a great
care.
day. Take care, buddy.